So, thankfully, here came Imperium. And they started doing an in-ring promo about the Brawling Brutes. And next week, the rematch is going to be between Gunther and Sheamus. And as I was watching these guys stand in the ring and the way they talk and the expressions, and Gunther is just amazing, I'm thinking if Bill Watts had these guys, or Eddie Graham had these guys, they would be communist officers or Nazi soldiers. They would need police protection in and out of the arenas everywhere they went. They would have snipers staking out the interstate, waiting for them to drive out of town. These guys could have been the hottest fucking heels that anybody's ever seen. But they're wasted in sports entertainment in the modern day environment. They're too good for this. And it just, I can see goddamn Gunther getting death threats, just coming to the ring and brutalizing the local territory babyface and swearing allegiance to whoever the fucking commandant is of the goddamn, his force or whatever.
Horst Hoffman.
Horst Hoffman. There you go. But anyway, they barely do a minute, and then here comes the Brawling Brutes music, but Sheamus comes out alone because Ridge and Butch are in Florida. And Sheamus does a brief and fairly uninspired promo. And then they get into the obligatory fight because, again, the thing that WWE television, Raw or SmackDown, needs more than anything else is a complete revamp of the way they format everything and the way that everything happens the same way every week.
Yes.
Interview, interruption, match, either then or later on in the show. Match finish is guys making a comeback, somebody distracts him, turns into a finish, whatever. But in this case, they had a fight where Sheamus took a shillelagh and knocked out Kaiser and Vinci, and I don't know why this guy's name is Italian and he's but nevertheless, he knocks them out with a blow each and then gets in the ring with Gunther and has a fight with Gunther, and then the Stooges come back just at the right time after they'd been down forever and disappeared, and they get heat on Sheamus and trash talking and a powerbomb Sheamus. But this was by the numbers. Nobody tried to help. They sweetened the booze. The heels walk off, and Sheamus gets on the microphone and says, "Is that all you got?" And the heels come back and beat the fuck out of him again and hit him with his own shillelagh and walk out again. So that worked. But between the sweetened booze and the sports entertainment presentation, on the same program, you have security. And this is not just WWE, it's AEW. You have security breaking up shit between women and children that doesn't go on for 10 seconds. And then you have 5-minute attempted murders that nobody says a peep about, and there's no consistency. I love Gunther, but there's almost nobody for him to work with. Where you get to see the real Gunther. And then they have to do this shit in the middle. What do you think?
Well, Jim, they had that one match in Cardiff, Wales, and I wasn't as crazy about it as you were. And now we'll get to see them on TV domestically. I'm actually looking forward to that. I would like to see them one more time and give it another chance with multiple commercial breaks.
I liked Gunther in that match. Sheamus held up his part, but people were saying it was the greatest WWE match of modern times or whatever. No, I'll tell you what, I still pick Gunther and Ilya Dragunov in that match they had on whatever that NXT Big Show was about a year and a half ago as one of the goddamnedest matches I've seen from anybody anywhere in years. But go ahead.
What do you do when you have guys that are on your roster that have been there for a while, that fans recognize, that some fans really like, but they've been there for such a long time, but you don't have new bodies to fill those roles? Like someone like Sheamus, and I hate to bring it up, but someone like Natalya earlier. Natalya's great in the ring. We've been watching her for 15 years?
Yeah.
She's been there a long time, and it's not like they have other people to put out there, but when they come out, sometimes you're like, okay, I know what this is because I've been watching this for a very long time. Sheamus, He's had different gimmicks, different songs, different entrances. But it's Sheamus. Been watching this guy forever. I'm sick of it. But again, to my earlier point, you said, who's Imperium going to work with? They don't have that many people they could put in there. So
well,
what do you do?
That's their fault. The talent situation today is the fault of the WWE. Their talent situation, because they've had access going back 20 years. How many times did we say, well, this guy at OVW, that guy at OVW would have been fantastic if they'd had a chance, if they'd have not hamstrung them with a ridiculous gimmick or stupid presentation or brought them in, treated them like job guys. You know, whether it be Matt Morgan or the Bashams or Dinsmore or Jeter, all these guys would still be youthful and would be on the tail end of their careers that they never really ended up having because they were all wasted. And they've been doing the same thing since then. And so it's their fault that they don't have more talent. But it's also their fault that the fans, as you said, get too familiar and too used to and too bored with the talent. Familiarity breeds contempt is the opposite of how can I miss you if you won't go away. And there's no reason why, especially over the last 10 or 15 years, as big as that company has become, and with all the guaranteed revenue streams they have, and the fact that they don't give the talent any benefits or retirement or health or whatever the case, why couldn't they just say, look, so-and-so, Brian Last on my roster is a talent that I believe in and want to use more in the future, but he's been here. We've done just about everything with him right now. He needs a break. We are going to, in an organized fashion, figure out a way to tie up the loose ends of whatever he's doing on the show and send him home or away for 3 to 6 months. And generally home instead of away, because you just send a guy to Japan. Well, I wouldn't, that some guys might like that if they got sent to a foreign country. I'd say, fuck you. I didn't sign with an American company to be sent to Japan for 6 months or whatever. But just get them off your television. But don't beat them into powder before they go. And just some way or another, whether it's an injury or whether it's losing a match or whatever, give them a reason to be gone and then bring them back with a surprise when the people might be more agreeable to seeing them again. That's it seems like what they haven't been doing when they've had the money to pay these guys is protect their investment. Everybody stays on the roster until they're moved down the card and beaten into powder and used in every possible way, and then they're released. Well, then they're not any good to anybody else, but they're not any good to the WWE unless you bring them back after 5 years when everybody's forgotten about that. If you give a guy a graceful exit of the program for just a few months when they're still reasonably in a good position, then they will come back in as good or better position because people didn't see them be torn down first. You should only beat a guy into powder when you have no more further use for him and you don't want to re-sign him and you know he's going to go somewhere else. And so that's where you beat the shit out of him first because you don't want to give the competitor a viable drawing card. But so when you just see these people on and you can't feature them constantly and it gets tiresome, they're not protecting their investments. And because they make so few new stars, the investments of people they do have with some recognition are more important than ever. And then there's the fact that, look at the talent. Where's the next Brock Lesnar? Maybe there might not be another human being look like Brock Lesnar, but we're down to, we don't have fighters anymore. We don't have ex-football players. We don't have fucking tough guys that don't fit into society and want to get in wrestling because it's the Wild West. Those were the stars. We have small, timid, fucking performance artists that want to get into the business to be on TV and possibly pursue a career in reality television or major motion pictures. So what's going into the talent development programs is not as good as what was going into them 20 and 30 and 40 years ago either. And for all those Wild West personalities who would want to get into wrestling because they don't fit anywhere else, they'd get fired or sued if they were in wrestling now, because wrestling's like everything else now. A bunch of fucking pussies with easily hurt feelings, and you can't say boo to a goose without somebody doing an investigation. And Lord forbid that two guys have a problem and decide to fucking see who's right one way or the other, because goddamn then they'll all be suspended. What was the question?
About guys who have been there a long time and the idea there aren't people to replace them, but they're still on TV.
Yeah, well, I suggest that Kevin Dunn and the rest of the goddamn bullshit bogus executives that have never taken a bump in their life take, at least not one in a ring, maybe off a mirror, take $3,000 or $4,000 off your $15 million that you fucking con the company out of every year to do your job, and put it in a fund to pay the wrestlers to go away for 3 to 6 months at a time, heal up their bodies, and get new again, and come back as a bigger attraction instead of a fucking stale, moldy old piece of bread.